I just wanted him to stop scrambling.
Tomorrow is draft day. So I wanted to talk a bit about fans' expectations for the NFL draft and what I think Ryan Poles has to accomplish on the first 2 days of the NFL draft. He's done an awesome job giving himself ultimate flexibility moving forward. Also, he's building for the future. He doesn't plan on fixing the roster completely this year. However, due to his strategy in free agency, we have a glaring hole at right tackle and defensive line talent. The focus here is on what I think Ryan Poles needs to accomplish after day 2. We currently have 4 picks in those top 64 and plenty of flexibility, meaning Poles could go a number of different directions early in this draft. However, I think by the end of day 2, he must add at least 2 players in the trenches. We have 4 picks in that range currently. We could add more if he trades down in the first. We could end up with less if he trades up. Either way, by the end of round 3 and after Friday's day 2 of the draft, I think it's imperative that Ryan Poles add at least 1 player to the trenches on offense and 1 player to the trenches on defense. I actually wouldn't mind if all 4 of the first 4 picks went to the trenches. I've always been a fan of building through the trenches. It's hard to win in the NFL when you don't have talent on the offensive and defensive lines. I feel like even with all of the flexibility Poles has, he does have a couple of priorities he needs to take care of in this draft. I would rank them like this. Number 1, finding a 3-tech. Number 2, finding a right tackle. Number 3, adding talent at defensive end. 4, add another corner. And 5, find a center of the future. Now that is his checklist. I believe he can hit on all 5 easily and even do more, like add another receiver, running back, tight end, or even safety of the future. Ryan Poles has a ton of flexibility. If I had to narrow it down, to me, he has one thing he simply has to do this draft. He doesn't have to hit all 5, but he does have to add talent in the trenches. I would go as far to say that even as much as I like Devon Witherspoon, I almost feel like we need to spend our first round pick on either the offensive or defensive line just because our roster lacks talent on both sides of the line in the trenches. The bottom line is this: Ryan Poles needs to make the trenches a priority. After day 2, he will have made 4 picks. That's 4 players who should come in as potential starters and long-term building blocks. When you look at potential starting spots that are open, we have 1 cornerback spot, defensive end, defensive tackle. That's 3 spots on defense with a lot more depth needed as well. And then on offense, we need a right tackle. That's 4 starting spots, and we have 4 picks in the first 2 days. He could theoretically fill all 4 needs and then head into day 3 with 6 more picks and the first pick of round 4. That's my dream. He could then add a center and hit on best player available on day 3 and the rest of the draft. I don't think it's very likely he leaves day 2 with a right tackle, defensive end, defensive tackle, and cornerback though. That would be too awesome. I think at least one of those 4 picks will be a surprise, or he could even package 2 of them together and trade up. 4 out of our 5 biggest needs come in the trenches though. That is the point. Free agency doesn't make as much sense if Poles ignores the trenches on draft day 2. He set himself up to attack this area during the draft. So to me, he kind of needs to prioritize the lines early in this year's draft class. To me, those 5 areas should be his priorities in the draft. They are the most important to me. Does Poles feel the same way? We will find out tomorrow. The NFL draft is finally here. I couldn't be more excited. I have a ton more content coming your way over the next 48 hours. Stay tuned, guys. Be sure to hit that like button for me. And until next time, bear down.